I know we can talk about the Drake versus Kendrick beef all day and not run out of stuff to talk about. That's how monumental the battle is. But here's the thing. Beef fades. It doesn't matter how crazy or how intense they are. Eventually, they'll fade. But you know what doesn't? Music. The songs will always stay. And when we talk about the two biggest names in hip-hop over the last decade, which are none other than K.Dot and Drake, you can't ignore the music. These two built their empires off tracks that defined eras, anthems that moved cultures, records that still echo years after release. But here's the question. When we take away the fan wars, the memes, and the streams, which artists made songs that actually mattered? Today, we're comparing 5 of Kendrick's most powerful hits to 5 of Drake's most iconic records. Not just to see who had the bigger numbers, but to ask who told better stories, who moved the culture the most, who's aging like wine, and who's just aging. Now, I know Drake's diehard fans are probably licking their lips in contempt right now, but it's important to note that we're going to be fair. There's no denying that Drake's catalog is deep. The man has hits for days, but the same can be said of Kendrick too. He's one of the very few who can make rap feel spiritual, cultural, and a whole fun vibe all at the same time. So if you're here for chart stats only, this might not be the video for you. But if you want to talk impact, meaning, and the kind of music that makes you stop everything just to listen, well, you're in the right place. Now, let's dive into 5 pairs of songs that shape the sound of a generation and quietly prove why Kendrick Lamar isn't just in the conversation, he is the conversation. We're going to kick things off with 2 songs that felt good but hit very differently. Drake's 2018 mega hit God's Plan and Kendrick's 2015 blockbuster Alright. Now, when God's Plan dropped, it was massive. It didn't take more than a single listen for you to know this song was going to wreak havoc on the charts, and it did. Not only did God's Plan break streaming records, but it also topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 11 weeks. But what really made the song iconic was the music video. I'm pretty sure you could still remember Drake giving away nearly $1 million in donations. He paid for scholarships, bought groceries for entire families, and handed out stacks of cash like it was Christmas in Miami. Not gonna lie, it was a really heartwarming moment. It deservedly went viral and became instantly iconic. People couldn't stop singing the song word for word, especially that hook. You just couldn't escape it if you tried. Now we've got to go back 3 years before that to 2015, when Kendrick dropped Alright. Mind you, there were no $1 million giveaways, no pop hooks, just raw poetry wrapped in jazz fusion production and spiritual defiance. It was simple, but powerful. And here's the thing, right? When Alright dropped, the Black Lives Matter movement was already growing, but no one could have predicted what would happen 5 years later. In 2020, following the death of George Floyd, the world erupted. Streets were filled with protesters, millions demanded justice, and what was the soundtrack echoing through those crowds? Alright. A song written years earlier suddenly became the heartbeat of a global movement. People weren't just listening to it, they were chanting it. It felt like Kendrick had written it for that exact moment, even though he couldn't have known it was coming. Honestly, Alright has to be top 3 of Kendrick's greatest songs and maybe top 10 of the greatest hip-hop songs ever. Sure, God's Plan made you feel like everything was okay, but Alright made you believe it, even when it wasn't. It didn't chart as long, it didn't stream as high, but it became a symbol, and symbols last longer than statistics. So yeah, Drake gave us a feel-good philanthropy vibe, which was really awesome, but Kendrick? He gave us fuel to keep going when the world felt like it was falling apart. Who do you think the winner is here? I feel your answer is going to depend on what you value more, going viral or becoming the voice of a revolution. Now, for our number 2 comparison, we've got Started from the Bottom versus Humble. Now, I know some of you might not necessarily agree with this comparison, which is fine, but there's no denying these 2 songs are some of the most iconic of Drake's and Kendrick's careers. In 2013, Drake dropped Started from the Bottom, and for a generation trying to hustle their way into something, it hit hard, and I mean really hard. It was simple, repetitive, but undeniably catchy. That golden line, Started from the bottom, now we hear, undoubtedly became a lifestyle. Whether you were grinding in school, working overtime like I was, or just trying to make it out of your hometown, Drake gave you a theme song to vibe to. But here's the thing, Started from the Bottom was always more surface level than a deeper story. There's no doubt that the song was a flex, okay, but it feels way too safe. The lyrics didn't necessarily challenge you, it didn't break anything open, it just felt good to repeat and inspirational to some level. Now fast forward to 2017 and Kendrick dropped Humble. Now there's no denying that K.Dot made this song for the mainstream, but one thing you can't argue is that from the jump, the song felt different. The beat hits like a car crash, the hook is confrontational, the verses are layered with sarcasm, ego, and some serious social commentary. It's really no surprise that it's gone on to become one of Kendrick's biggest songs purely in terms of numbers. We all know Kendrick makes awesome visuals for his songs, but what he did with Humble, it was pure art. From the reimagined Last Supper to the flaming skull imagery, it looked like a short film dressed to intimidate. It was bold, unapologetic, and it won Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and Best Music Video at the Grammys. It swept it all up. Now, there's no denying that Started from the Bottom will forever be a classic. It was a song that got the job done. And even though it didn't win huge awards, let's not forget it went double platinum. But in hindsight, it didn't say much. It's the musical equivalent of a motivational quote on a hoodie. Humble made you stop and think. Started from the Bottom made you nod and post up. Now the question is, who do you think is the winner between these two? Personally, I'd give it to Kendrick, but I know for sure Drake's fans would say otherwise. We can always agree to disagree, you know? Now, our next matchup is going to be straight bars. No pop hooks, no sing-along melodies, just two artists at the peak of their confidence stepping into the booth like they've got something to prove. We're going to start with Drake's 2018 smash hit, Non-Stop. Honestly, you could argue that the Scorpion album is a certified top 3 of Drake's entire catalog. He did justice to that project. Non-Stop went viral instantly, especially that line, "I just flipped the switch." It's probably his first song that blew up like crazy on TikTok. It was literally everywhere, and that Murda Beats production, oh my god. It was slithery, dark, and minimal, perfect for cruising late at night, plotting your next move. This was Drizzy at the peak of his powers. He was the top dog, the hit maker. But here's the thing about Drake's songs. They're always squeaky clean, too clean at times. Most of his lyrics feel slick, but overly controlled. In a nutshell, he almost plays it safe with his bars, and the same can be said of Non-Stop. Now, the best Kendrick song I feel would be a perfect counter is none other than DNA. You know, Drake did a lot of bragging on Non-Stop, but Kendrick, he took it to a whole new level on DNA. The first beat switch of the song is insane. It punches you straight in the chest. You'd think Kendrick is battling with some inner demon with the crazy energy on this track. DNA isn't just about Kendrick being great, it's about why he's great. He breaks himself down on a genetic level, his culture, his trauma, his rage, his strength, and it puts it all under a microscope. It's intense, personal, and layered. You don't just hear Kendrick, you feel him peeling himself open. And let's not forget, this track was everywhere despite its rawness. It soundtracked NBA promos, blockbuster trailers, and political ads. It became a symbol of unapologetic black excellence. Despite attaining incredible mainstream success, the lyrics of DNA were far from being safe. If you attended any of the damn tours and watched Kendrick perform it, you'd feel goosebumps all over you because it was that powerful. Now, if we are talking about confidence and incredible wordplay, both Non-Stop and DNA delivered exceptionally. But the clear winner? I'm going to have to let you decide for that. Now, our fourth matchup, we've got Drake's 8 AM in Charlotte versus The Heart Part 5. These two tracks were insane, and I'm not going to lie about it. Both artists stripped away the hooks, the features, and the radio gloss. All they did was rap. There was no distractions, just pen, presence, and purpose. Now let's start with Drake's 8 AM in Charlotte. The song is obviously part of his timestamp series. Those tracks where Drake gets introspective, drops the filters, and speaks from the heart. And to be fair, 8 AM is more than solid. It's polished, well written, and subtle in a way that rewards a focused listen, which makes you wonder if Drake actually penned this himself or hired ghostwriters. Nonetheless, it's the kind of song that reminds his fans that he could lay some serious bars when he wants to. The whole vibe from start to finish is classic Drake. Clever, smug, and cool under pressure. But even at its best, 8 AM still feels safe, just like most of his pure rap performances. While I commend his effort to try to give us something deep and introspective that actually hit, it's just so obvious they're being delivered from a place of comfort and not real life experience. Now, I might be wrong, but that's just how it feels to me. Now we're going to talk about The Heart Part 5, a surprise drop just days before Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was released. There was no warning, no hype train, just a 6-minute track and a video that broke the internet. And if you haven't seen it, man, you don't know what you're missing. This wasn't just another rap record, it was pure performance art. Kendrick's face morphed into O.J. Simpson, Kanye West, Jussie Smollett, Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, and Nipsey Hussle. Each verse channeled a different life, a different pain, a different version of what it means to be black in America. In the last verse, when Kendrick raps as Nipsey from beyond the grave, talking to his family, his brother, his killer, it's not a verse. It feels more like a resurrection. No rapper has ever done something like that, ever. At least not as cool as this. Every single bar on The Heart Part 5 was more than just punchlines. The empathy, the passion, and the perspective were laid bare for all to see. Drake might be one of the best at rapping about himself, but Kendrick, he's mastered rapping as someone else and making you feel it in your chest. So yeah, Drake dropped bars, but Kendrick dropped a masterclass. We don't need to argue who the clear winner is this time, do we? 8 AM showed skill, there's no doubt about it, but The Heart Part 5, it showed soul. Now we're moving on to our fifth and final comparison. We've got Drake's Marvin's Room versus Kendrick's Money Trees. This is the softest territory in this entire battle so far, and if you're wondering why, it's because these tracks are where the bravado drops, the armor cracks, and we see what's really underneath. Let's start with Drake's Marvin's Room. The song was released way back in 2011, and it immediately became the blueprint for expressing toxic vulnerability in hip-hop. Personally, I love this song. The chilling melodic vibe, Drake is in his feelings, drunk dialing his ex, and wallowing in self-pity, while still managing to sound like he's the victim. It's perfect. It feels so raw in its own twisted way. Whether you were heartbroken or just emotionally messy at 2 AM, Marvin's Room gave you something to vibe to. It didn't ask for sympathy, it demanded it. The entire subgenre of moody, introspective, sad boy rap, you could argue that it started here. But now let's talk about Kendrick's Money Trees, the most beloved track on the Good Kid, Mad City album. In fact, it's got to be in the top 5 in his entire catalog, if we're being honest. While Drake poured his feelings into a voicemail on Marvin's Room, Kendrick painted a novel with Money Trees. The song perfectly captures the tension between temptation and salvation. It perfectly showcased the battle between chasing a fast life and staying grounded, and with J-Rock sliding in to close the track with one of the coldest guest verses of the decade, Money Trees becomes a full experience, not just a vibe. It's nostalgic, poetic, and far from being safe. Where Marvin's Room looked inward, Money Trees zoomed outward into a whole world, a whole community, and a whole state of mind. Yes, the context of both songs is different, but there's no denying that both artists were trying to deliver a similar synergy that evokes emotions. It's up to you to decide who delivered the most between the two, but honestly, it'd be a disservice to the quality of both songs. While Money Trees feels like a memoir, Marvin's Room will always be evergreen. So here we are, 5 iconic matchups, 10 unforgettable songs, and 2 artists who defined an entire era of hip-hop, but in completely different ways. Drake is undoubtedly the streaming king, the algorithm whisperer. He's mastered the art of giving people what they want right now. His catalog is deep, his hooks are endless, and let's be honest, if you've ever been in your feelings, in your bag, or in the gym, you've probably had a Drake song or two playing in the background. But Kendrick makes music that doesn't just sound good, it sits with you. His songs aren't tracks, they're chapters, essays, statements even. He's not dropping songs every other Friday, he's crafting moments that shift the entire conversation. And that to me is the biggest difference. That's why Kendrick will always have the respect of the culture over Drake. Despite the politics and the pressure to make music that appeals to everyone, he never played it safe with his songs. He's always telling a story and sending a message, while Drake wins the charts, Kendrick wins the culture. You don't have to pick a side, we didn't make this to trash Drake by any means. The man is legendary for what he's done, but when it comes to legacy, to depth, to respect from every corner of the culture, From fans, critics, artists, activists, and educators, there's only one name people keep coming back to, and Kendrick Lamar is that name. He's not just a rapper, he's one of the reasons people still believe rap can be art. So now it's your turn. Who do you think won these 5 matchups? Did we get it right, and are there any songs you think should have made this list? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you're into deep dives, real rap convos, and honest takes, hit that like button and subscribe because we've got a lot more to say. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.